Okay, let's
do it.
See how this one goes.
This is going to be fun, man. I'm going to enjoy this one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode number 68. Just one away. Hello, a croeso I podcast rhif 68. My name is Gareth Evans. I'm joined today by Mr. Henry. Let's talk about Last of Us 2 Cooper.
I don't want that to be my name. That's not a name I want to live by for the rest of my life. It's been this unpleasant to put up with for the past few weeks.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's been absolutely loving it because I've had no one to talk to about it, and she's getting really, really fucking sick of it. So that's good fun.
Excellent. Yeah, this is the Last of Us 2 special podcast. You've been waiting for it, guys, and we've stayed spoiler free this far during the whole build up and lead up into the launch of this game, and now we've played it to completion. The gloves are off. We're going for the jugular, and we're going to tell you exactly what we think about The Last of Us 2 now. Coming from a relatively spoiler free position in experienced it pretty much spoiler free before going in, for the most part, but I'll tell you that as we go through. So that'll be the main bulk, and I'm sure we'll have fun discussing this during the podcast, because there's a lot to discuss. Oh my God, there's loads to discuss.
Yeah.
After that, we've been taking, like the regular segments in the podcast, we'll be taking some questions from the Discord members, or patron members, and then we'll be doing the Trigger Fanboy comment of the week, some other YouTube comments if you can find some, because we've kind of had a week off here, and then after that, the bad dad joke of the week to finish off. So let's jump straight in, 2 feet, no holes barred, gloves are off, come out swinging. Last of Us 2. We both completed it. What did you think, Henry? What did you think? Sum it all up, nice and concise for me, thank you.
Yeah, if the question is, did I like it or did I not like it? I liked it. I might even go so far as to say I liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of fun with it. Did I like it more than the first one? No.
Interesting.
We'll elaborate in a minute. But what did you think?
Well,
in your quick summary.
I equally loved it and hated it. Okay, I've never felt so torn on a game in my whole entire life.
And I think that's deliberate. Like, I think that's kind of what they want.
I'm not sure.
A lot of my dislikes for it, I think I'm like, did you want this, or I don't know.
It's almost perfectly symmetrical, right? And there's an interview that I read with Neil Druckmann and Haley Gross, the writers on the Last of Us 2, and implying that the game itself is symmetrical. It starts and ends at the same way. There's a person you want to play as, there's a person you don't want to play as, and it's all completely symmetrical. My feelings for this game are exactly the same. I loved the first half of the game. Pretty much exactly half of the game. I loved it. I thought this was the best game I've ever played. I thought there's just so much here that I was expecting and waiting for, and I loved it. I thought the twist at the start where you get to play as Abby, and then it turns out, oh my God, she ends up killing Joel, and then it flips back to Ellie, and then you play as her for the rest. What I thought was the rest of the game. I thought, this is amazing. Like, they've pulled the old switcheroo on us, and it was just great, because it was just one of those moments where it turns out, she shoots Joel in the leg, and then she gets oh my God, this is brutal. This is exactly what I want from a game. And it was uncompromising, and it was gritty, and it was dark. I love it, right? And then you're Ellie, you're going to get revenge. And then the scene in the theater happens, and then everything changes, and then my love of the game just completely dipped. And then from that moment onwards, I'm like, I am hating this game. I am hating everything I'm being asked to do. I'm hating the character. My most hated playable character of all time now, Abby. I'm literally seething playing through this game. How could they have done this to me? What are they making me do? Joel is one of my favorite protagonist of all time, bar none. And they're making me play as the person who killed him. I was absolutely livid. I couldn't forgive Neil Druckmann. I was gone, right? And then,
did you come back around? Or
I came around a little bit when I started sympathising with Abby a little bit when she had that whole Sarah fight. I couldn't give a shit for her mates. Her mates can go and die. crawl away and die for all I care. The point of it was you're supposed to see it from her point of view. You're supposed to start empathizing with the people that you've just killed as Ellie and all her friends and that. I didn't get behind those at all. Owen can curl up and die. I don't care about them. But the Seraphites,
fuck Owen.
I liked that storyline with the Seraphites and going over to the island and stuff. There were parts of that were amazing. I really liked that. A couple of missions for Abby were brilliant, but the rest of it was shite. Not shite. That's a harsh word. That's just me being emotional. The rest of it was very difficult and not good. Not happy to play. You asked me for a concise. I'm just totally split on this game. I understand kind of the end. I kind of understand the ending and why they did that, but I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the game. I'm not happy. I loved the game for half of it, and then I hated the rest of it. And there were parts of it that kind of tried to redeem themselves. But why did they make us play as Abby? I think that was the oversight there was they completely underestimated how much love for Joel there was in the community, and I think that's why they're getting the brunt of this. I've got just got so much to say. I think we should move on to something else, and I'm sure I'll come back to my love and hate.
Well, the Abby thing, that's one of... So I did have some stuff spoiled for me because obviously I was still producing videos, and then people would just put it in the comments because they're
arseholes.
They're idiots. There's some people who actually think they're doing a service, like, oh, I'm saving you $60 or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you're not. It's still my choice to... Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So I knew Joel was going to die, but I'm not going to say I knew that from the very beginning, but I always expected that. And I feel like that's a huge talking point. And it happens within the first 2 hours, which I think is a hugely bold story choice. Not necessarily a good one, but we'll get onto that. I knew that you'd play as someone called Abby, and that was the person from the trailer from years ago when she gets lynched, almost lynched, and rescued by these two people. And there was something else as well. Oh, that the final boss was fighting Ellie as Abby, but that's not true. Right. That happens, but that's not the final boss. Mm-hmm. So Joel's death, he had to die. Yeah, I love him as a character. I think he's excellent. He's one of the best written, most human characters. Troy Baker's defining performance. Everything that happens with him in this game, in part 2, I love. Pretty much everything. Yeah. The only kind of thing I'm like, oh, that's not quite right, is when they meet Abby, they reveal who they are. Tommy and Joel. Well, it's mainly Tommy. It's mainly Tommy, not Joel, who does it. They could have tweaked it so that Joel was more hesitant. I think but I could buy that a bit more. Tommy's characterization is something I have a huge problem with. But I'll stick on Joel for now. Joel had to die. In my opinion, he deserved to die.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Like at the end of game the first game, he made a decision to basically sacrifice the whole entire human race and their survival just to save Ellie, right? And that decision was controversial and
understandable, but still wrong.
Yeah, and understandable because you understand his journey. You've been through the journey with him. His daughter dies in the very beginning, and he doesn't want to lose Ellie the same way because he's grown attached to her during the course of the game. You can understand his decision. It's the wrong decision. Like we all know that it's the wrong decision, and he has and this game makes him pay for it, right?
Yeah, and I think this is where it's tricky, and I think a lot of people, especially those who haven't played it, because there's a lot of people being very loud about having and clearly haven't played it, and we've been saying you should at least give it a try before you come to like your ultimate opinion. I mean, obviously you can still make an opinion based on reviews and stuff, but yeah,
you have to experience it.
Yeah, you should, if you want Abby to die for what she did, which is completely fine because she murders Joel in a very horrific fashion. Although I don't think it's any more violent than any death in Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead or anything like that. I mean, I don't. Some people are saying it's played for shock value. There are a couple of deaths. One in particular that is massively just for shock value, but I don't think that his death is particularly...
Who?
too gruesome. Like, they could have made it a lot worse, and it's no worse than I've seen in other media. But then maybe I'm just desensitized to it by now. What was I saying? Oh yeah, if you want Abby to die for what she did to Joel, you should want Joel to die for what he did to all those people. That's kind of the point the game's trying to make, is that it's a very simple message that has been done a million times before, which is one of my problems with it, is that violence equals more violence, and it's just a cycle, and it's going to be bad, and you need to break that cycle. And that is why Ellie has to not kill her at the end. We want her to kill her because she deserves it. Ellie deserves it because of all that she's done. I was fully expecting them both to die, and that's a very, very, very bleak ending. But Ellie needs to learn something at last. She doesn't have all that much character development throughout the game, and that's a deliberate choice to show her like stubbornness and like addiction and compulsion in this path she's taken, because she should make the right choice and leave it alone.
Well, she can't. She's suffering from PTSD, according to the writers. Right? She's had this traumatic event, and she's she's broken. She's having psychological problems. Right? You can see that in the flashbacks, or we should get when you're back on the farm. And then she goes into the barn, and then she has a breakdown, and she has an episode. She's obviously suffering, right? And like you said, she has to break that cycle of violence by forgiving. And I think that the theme of the game is forgiveness, right? She forgives Abby, and she forgives Joel, and that's the point of it, right?
They're not friends, are they? They're not running off into the sunset holding hands. No. And in a roundabout way, Abby has had some sense of like universal justice, because she's picked up by the new group, who clearly torture her and clearly do horrific things to her. She's significantly skinnier than we see her. Her character design's a whole other can of worms that we'll probably get to in a minute. So she has had punishment. She's not got away with it like completely scot-free. And if Ellie did kill her, then it makes everything pointless. Like, she's not learned anything. She's not, come away with it being bigger. The main thing I would sort of change if I was kind of like rewriting it or doing it my way is I would have played up her immunity way more, because Abby's an ex-Firefly. Fireflies are all... their sole goal was to rebuild the world and find someone with immunity, extract a cure or a vaccine, and then fix everything. I don't understand how, once Abby knew who Ellie was, because she shows up at the theater after Abby's killed after Ellie has killed everyone. Their names are too fucking similar. After Ellie's killed everyone, Abby then shows up at the cinema, shoots Jesse. That's a shock death, which is just like bang, shot, done. But Jesse's not terribly interesting anyway. Beats up Tommy a little bit, but apparently he just didn't die.
Shoots him in the head, but he's not dead.
Remind me to come back to... apparently he's just blind. I'll come back to Tommy, because I got a bunch of problems with him. Ellie then confesses, like, it's me, I'm the one you want, I'm the cure. In that moment, you could still have your little fight and your scuffle, but I feel like from then on, Abby knows who Ellie is. Then they should find a way to make Ellie into the cure, because even from Abby's perspective of wanting to punish Ellie, killing her wouldn't accomplish anything apart from her own personal thing. And you could say that's kind of the point of the story, that she's all wrapped up in her own revenge or whatever. But I think it would have been much more interesting if she'd like beaten Ellie and crippled her or whatever, and then dragged her like halfway across the country to find the new group of Fireflies. To then get the cure, and then along the way, Ellie sort of figures out that that's what she needs to do. I don't know how well that would work, but I feel like her immunity is something that was kind of just glossed over.
Exactly. And I think there's so many issues with what happened with the game. I think if on the same point, like, what would you do to change the game to make it better? I just wouldn't. Just don't make me play as Abby. I
think it could work, but. What's her name? Haley Gross she's a TV writer,
Yeah.
and I fully get the feeling that this is structured like a TV show, as in you've got the first half as Ellie, and then the second sort of not quite half, maybe a third, as Abby, and that feels like that's an episode of a 8-part series, just one episode, but it's like 3 chapters. If it was one chapter, really condensed, it would be so much better and more effective in the point it's trying to make, and wouldn't outstay its welcome like it does. Because I think in terms of structure, we're only on storytelling stuff at the moment. We're not even on
exactly. This is the whole story, right? That's the controversial bit.
So that you're ramping up and up and up as Ellie, going through the motions of killing people. You know it's bad. She knows it's bad, but she's got to do it. Tommy comes in. She's sort of toying with the idea of, right, maybe I can let this go. She doesn't want to, but just think about it. Abby shows up. Cut. 3 days earlier. And then you just play it all through with Abby and Abby's team of people who are pretty much all unlikable.
Yes. Absolutely.
Manny's probably the most likable, but that's because he swears in Spanish and he fucks the teacher.
Pendejo.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just says pendejo. People are upset that he spits on Joel.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but you're supposed to be mad at that. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a villain.
Of course.
They're doing villain things. You're not meant to be happy about it. Some people say that he's a stand-in for the director because he looks a bit like him, and I can't deny they do look similar with the beard and the like man bun thing. But I mean that's a reach.
Yeah, people call him Neil Druckmann, or people call him Neil Manny or whatever.
Yeah. Well, so none of those characters are particularly interesting, and it goes on for far too long. Yeah, it does. All of like Abby's flashbacks are kind of interesting because they show her with like her dad and a little bit with Owen.
They made a big problem with my biggest problem with the Abby character is that they didn't endear us to her enough. They didn't make us connect with her enough.
She's not likable.
They didn't give us a reason to root for Abby enough, right? I think I read an interview this morning on IndieWire where they interviewed Neil Druckmann and Haley Gross about the story and about everything. And Haley Gross says, we wanted the opportunity on the reason why they made us play as Abby to begin with just before she kills Joel. She said, we wanted the opportunity to build empathy for her from the start. And the most effective way we can do that is to have you walking in her shoes, spending time with her, seeing what makes her vulnerable, seeing what makes her scared. They didn't do a good enough job at that. And I think that's the main problem, is that we didn't root enough for Abby by the time we started playing as her. They should have done that a lot differently. They could have even started the game with her and seen it from her perspective and made us invest in that character a lot more before she killed Joel. That would have been amazing. That would have been brilliant.
I think the easiest way around the Abby stuff is just pace it like chapter for Ellie, chapter for Abby, chapter for Ellie, chapter for Abby, and that could feel a bit too like gamey or whatever. Yeah. But I feel like it's a better way of doing it than halting the all story progress, and this is kind of a more important thing in terms of gameplay, halting all gameplay progress, because through the game you get upgrades to your weapons and upgrades to your character, like you can your listen range is better, your health is stronger, and all that sort of stuff. All of that's ripped away from you, and you're now this new character, new place, new other characters, and I feel like that's a huge misstep, especially as you could justify Abby having all of these upgrades already because she's a soldier and Ellie isn't. Ellie's just a person surviving who knows how to shoot a gun, but Abby's specifically trained to be a soldier. Why have you taken away all my upgrades? Why have I got to do it again?
Yeah. I mean, I get that because in terms of storytelling, I feel like the story is better if they make you play as Ellie and then slap you in the face. Now you're playing as the actual villain who you're trying to kill. I think story-wise, it's better to do that. But game-wise, you're absolutely right. I think the pacing of the game is all off. Where they build up your character. There's this huge crescendo moment where you finally get face-to-face with the antagonist, and then slapped in the face again. You're now the antagonist 3 days earlier. I think it's it's something jarring about that, and I've still got trauma from that, whiplash from that. Absolutely. I just want to point to one thing on that note that Neil Druckmann said in this interview that I read, you should go and read it, by the way, if you're interested in the reasoning behind why they decided to make these decisions and the background to the story. If you just didn't quite get it, like why is Ellie doing what she's doing? It all explains it in this article. It's quite good. And Neil Druckmann said in this interview, there's something interesting that happens when you're not in alignment with the character and the game makes you do something that you don't want to do. You wrestle with those decisions in a different way than you would be able to do in a passive medium. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I get that. But we hate Abby so much. There's nothing but dislike. There's nothing but hatred. And I think one of the worst scenes in it was where Abby is pitted against Ellie, right? And then when Ellie kills you, I'm like,
cut scene and it was fine. Like,
I'm like, I want me to die here. People, just kill me, Ellie, and then I die, and then I've got to do it again. It's like, no, I've won the game by dying here.
Ellie can go home happy. It's just I did have a point, but I think it's just got away from me.
It's just overwhelming. There's just so much to talk about.
Right, well, we'll slip away from the story for a bit. I'm sure we'll come back to it. But the gameplay-wise, it's exactly the same in terms of your gameplay loop and what the activities you're doing as the first one. It's stealthing through encounters, it's scavenging for resources. Fortunately, I really enjoy that gameplay loop of...
Me too.
I really like stealth games, and I like getting by the skin of your teeth. Every bullet counts. I spend the entire time counting, all right, I've got this many bullets across different guns. That means I can get this many kills maximum.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I've got to find something else, or I've got to get in close. Gameplay in pretty much every conceivable way is tweaked or improved, but not massively innovated. And we take the piss all the time. It doesn't bring anything new to the table. This is very much that.
Yeah.
And yet it's still got 10 out of 10s from all these outlets.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Because saying that, it's always the news outlet that says that doesn't bring anything new to the table. They're always criticising for that, these reviewers. And then all of a sudden, this game, which brings nothing new to the table, gets 10s out of 10. Explain that, motherfuckers.
I think one of the things I really liked happens right at the end, and loads of people just aren't going to get there because the Abby stuff is such a slog to get through, and it's such a jarring change and all that. After Abby's storyline catches up with Ellie's, you have that fight, which is it's a bad fight. It's a bad boss fight altogether because it's. We're going to come back to that. Stick a pin in that.
You don't want to take a tackle now because
all right.
We'll be circling back to so many things. This fight, right? My main problem with this fight is you've upgraded Ellie to the point where she can hear people moving, right? Now you're playing as Abby. She can't hear you moving. I'm like...
Ellie didn't play how I play her. She's just strafing round the box. I'm like, no,
Ellie
should sprint away.
Ellie should be able to hear you.
And and flank her. It's a 3-hit fight. You just... stealth around, get her from behind 3 times, and then it's sort of over.
Yeah. And then Abby doesn't kill Ellie. Why doesn't Abby? And I understand she doesn't kill Dina because Lev says, Abby, and doesn't want her to kill the pregnant girl, but she should still kill Ellie. She don't let me see you again, and walks away. I'm not having it. Ellie would... she just killed all her friends. Abby would slay Ellie in a heartbeat.
Exactly. And like... we were saying how they don't do enough to humanize her genuinely with the player and make her actually likable, but at the same time let Abby be merciful to Ellie twice, and so to prove, see, look, she's so much better than Ellie because she let it go, and then Ellie can't let it go and ends up coming out of hiding again. But anyway, right, so now with that, after all that, there's a jump forward, and you're Ellie on this farm, happy life with. Semi-happy life. You've still got PTSD and trauma and stuff. Living with Dina and Dina's little baby, JJ, who is it Jesse and Joel? Like, we couldn't agree whether to name him after your father or the baby's father, so we're just going to do both. But yeah, whatever. That's kind of... I expected that was the end. Like, I messaged you saying, all right, I think I'm near the end. That's where I thought I was. And I was like, well, if this is the end, this is kind of underwhelming. I suppose the point is she's just letting it go. That's kind of just, she's been through so much and achieved so little, but then she has a bit of a breakdown and ends up going back out because Tommy comes in and tells her, like, you can't let her get away with this. And right, so I'll talk about Tommy now. Tommy is the nice brother out of Joel and Tommy. He's the nicer one who's not as willing to cross the line. That was what was implied in the first one, because they have their interaction, and he's like, I have nightmares from what you did. And he's like, I did what I did to keep us alive, and all that sort of shit. And then Tommy being trusting and saying to Abby and her team, like, oh, hi, my name's Tommy, this is Joel. I'm like, okay, I'll buy that because you're the trusting one. You're the nicer one. And then if you had Joel being a bit more hesitant, as I said, that'd be more in line with his character. But then Joel dies. Ellie and him have this disagreement on whether they should go after her, because he wants to, but kind of can't, because he needs to stay and keep the town safe. And
he's got a limp.
And Maria, yeah, he's not doing too great. But then he goes off anyway on his own. You don't see him for hours, which I think is a huge shortcoming, because he's just not there, and then all of a sudden he's back, and it's as if he's just a nice guy again. But then you come back to him at the farm. He's like, no, we got to go. We didn't get revenge. It's like, but you wanted to stop. I feel like his character is so up and down, and they can't decide whether he is just as bad as Joel, because there's a like an in-game dialogue option where they explain how Tommy did the same trick as him and one other guy interrogated some people really violently. They blew up a car, and some civilians got killed, and then the character's like, oh no, I don't believe Tommy would do that. So they're flirting with the idea, but they don't tell it right. I feel like you need to either pick a side and have Tommy snap much like Ellie and be this brutal killer like Joel, or have him still be the trusting nice one, but they kind of trying to have their cake and eat it in a way.
Yeah.
Or just give Tommy's job to Tommy's role in the story. Just make Jesse be that person. Make Jesse be that mysterious sniper who's taking people out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about the gameplay. I mean, totally get that about Tommy. That's great. The gameplay, however, like you said, you enjoyed the gameplay loop of the first one, and you enjoyed it. I enjoyed this. I really did enjoy it a lot better. I did have to tweak the difficulty settings a little bit. I tell you what, it's the best difficulty settings adjustments options in any game. There's like 5 or 6 different sliders that you can or options on different ones, where you can have the enemy AI different, the amount of resources you get different. Yeah, and there's just so many. And
on top of just like easy, medium, hard.
Yeah. I mean, I did have to tweak it, especially in the Abby bit, because I wasn't having it. I was like, I'm not spending time dying as Abby and then regretting it. I'm just going to stick it on easy and just coast through this. And one of the best options I found was basically the Red Dead Redemption setting, where when you pull the trigger, you automatically lock onto your target. It doesn't line up the headshots, but if you pull the trigger and then you like tweak the right stick back, you can line up a headshot pretty quickly. And if it wasn't for that setting, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it half as much. So yeah,
I broke my rule on this one. Normally I'll go every time, at least on my first playthrough, I'll play on whatever the default was, a default difficulty setting. But because I recently just replayed The Last of Us 1, I was like, well, I'm already in the swing of things, so I went straight for hard. And I'm really glad I did, because I think that it posed enough challenge that I wanted. And now I'm halfway through a second run. I'm at Abby, I think day 2 now, on New Game Plus on hard, and the AI is way smarter. Like, they're still sort of stupid video game AI with piss peripheral vision, but as they're walking along, they look over their shoulders much more frequently, and they will flank the shit out of you if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
And there's no resources, so it's like, right, well, I've got to risk. Do I go for the loud shot, which will alert everyone to my position, or do I try and get up close and you know, get a melee kill or something like that? Playing it like that is much harder. It's much harder, but I think it's really rewarding, because it's punishing, but like if you make a mistake, it's completely your fault. But if you get it right, it's just like,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Another thing that I loved as well in the early section, again, why I half loved this game, is the first area, when you settle day 1, the open area, you're on the horse with Dina, and there's just a map, and you can just go and explore, and then you'll go to one place, and you find a key for the place next door, and then you go in that place next door, and then all of a sudden you end up there was so much potential for a better game design. I know it's like very linear, and Last of Us is linear, supposed to be linear. Even in the mission after that, where I think Dean has gone at that point, and then There's just you've got to get from A to B, but there's like a really wide open area again. I love that design. I really love that. I think
really good level
they
design.
missed a trick there in making everything else after that linear. I think that if they'd have focused on more of those types of environments,
open environments,
it would have been a lot better. I think it would have been a lot better. And just skip the whole Abby thing. Just let me play up to day 3 with Ellie. Skip the whole Abby thing. Let me get back to the farm. Let me skip the Abby thing after that. Let me just don't. I'm ranting again about the story.
It kind of gets super convenient in the story as well. Like, Ellie tracks Abby, and then we've got another time jump to just when she's there. She's now just in the right place.
Yeah.
And she happens to find the same people who tried to kill her, and she happens to get to the right camp. It's just a bit like, I feel like that section at the end, that epilogue, I guess, or just final chapter or whatever, I really liked.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's a brand new environment. You've never been somewhere like that in the Last of Us world, because the Seattle is very similar to some other environments, because it's all rainy and miserable and overgrown. But then you go to California, it's burning sun, everything's like sun bleached everywhere. So that was really different. But it just feels kind of contrived to be like, oh yeah, she's here now, and then she's going to fight her at the very end. Oh, I am going to kill you. Oh no, I'm not going to kill you. Oh no, I am going to kill you. Oh no, go on, get out of here, you little scamp.
Yeah, and take my fingers with you.
Yeah, like I did kind of like, I quite liked the missing fingers thing, because that's all like, oh well, the one remaining link she had to Joel was playing the guitar. That's why you can do it throughout, which is an amazing mechanic, and I think it's a great little addition, but it is completely pointless.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun little extra detail, but it's totally fucking pointless, and they must have spent so much time on it for it to not be useful, which I think is kind of odd. You have to do it like 3, maybe 4 times. Other than that, it doesn't happen. So she gets her fingers off. She then can't play guitar, and the way they recorded it is that she actually is playing it wrong, because obviously she's missing the fingers. I thought that was good. The guitar scene where she plays Take On Me, which is, again, it's a completely optional scene. You can miss it because it's in the open area, and you can just mainline for the story. That was incredible. I loved that, because Take On Me is one of my favorite songs. That was great.
Cool.
That was one of like my most emotional moments. I was just like, oh, this is good. This is a good game. It's not SJW trash and all this, that, and all that. That's a point. With SJW agendas and stuff, I think we've got a podcast question for it later on, so we're not going to probably not going to dwell on it for loads. I didn't see, beyond the fact that you're a girl and you're gay, that like, if you think that's an agenda, that will be a problem for you. I didn't see really any sort of agenda stuff at all, in terms of this character is only this way because you know
they want to make a point
because of this, that, and the other. There's one character who is like trans or something like that, like not wanting. It's a girl who wants to be a boy type thing, but it's really not. It's not in your face.
Or the more PC way of saying that is a boy born in a girl's body, right?
That's the more PC way.
A girl who wants to be a boy. How many people did you trigger? All the SJWs are coming for you.
I don't have a problem with it. Like, do what you want. Although in that instance, I really think it's a bit odd. Like, you live with this crazy cult group who are obviously insane. Yeah. And you know that by this point that you're willing to make that choice. What it seems like you're just putting a target on your back. It's quite controversial now to come out and say that sort of stuff. Why would you ever do it in that world? I mean, I guess that's the point they're trying to make. That, you should still be able to be accepted, blah, blah. And they do try and run away. They just get caught. Yeah. I think the Seraphite stuff is some of the most interesting, and some of the stuff that was completely wrong from the original wave of leaks. Because before the really, really big one, there was another handful which were like, it's a homophobic Christian cult coming after you, and they want you because you're gay, and they want Dina because she's pregnant or something. None of that's true. They're just a crazy cult. They're not Christian or anything. They're not all white, despite what a lot of people seem to be saying, that white people are the bad guys. It's completely not the case. I've killed as many white men as I have white women, as I have black men, as I have black women, and all that. very, very diverse set of enemies, if that's the sort of thing that you actually give a shit about. Yeah, I think I put it as a comment on Discord the other day. Anyone who's making it a race thing, like I see a lot of this from the anti-SJW crowd, who seems to have a lot of similarities with the ultra SJW crowd, who get really invested in race stuff. Some people saying they want you to feel bad for being a white man, or victimizing the white man, or no, villainizing the white man rather. But early on, if you want to analyze it like that, which is a really stupid way of doing anything, early on it's implied that so-and-so, like a certain character, makes a bigoted remark at Ellie for being gay. You actually find that out later in a flashback. This guy's a white guy and he calls her something about being a
dyke or something.
Gay, I can't really remember. Yeah, something like that. It's very rude. Like, whether or not you agree or not, it's a very rude thing to say. Ellie isn't having any of it. She's ready to go. Joel steps in, gives him a shove. Joel's ready to, like, fuck him up. So in that moment, one white guy is bigoted. So you could say, oh, that you're saying that all white men are bigoted because that guy is. Well, actually, then Joel is also a white guy. He's not. He's standing up for her. So that's showing that some white gay men are bigots, some aren't, which is totally true, just like every other race group. And then, after that, like the next day, this bigoted bloke, he offers Ellie and Jesse sandwiches and says sorry. Like, it's like an olive branch, like, I'm sorry, here's something to make up for it.
Yeah.
So that shows that the white man can actually grow and improve and like learn to be better. Like, he's still not like happy about it. He's not going to like run along and be like, I'm gay now too. Isn't that wonderful? He's just like, yeah, okay, I was wrong. I was being a dickhead. I'll be nice in the future. So I think people who get hung up on that sort of stuff, like, just stop.
Yeah, they see the world through like a filter. And they don't acknowledge both sides of the story, that's for sure.
And it absolutely goes for the SJWs and non-SJWs. They all do the same fucking thing.
Yeah, so back onto some parts of the game that we really liked. I liked some of the set pieces, right? I think Abby had a couple of the best missions, right? And the ones that stick out for me were the sniper one, where you were going to try and take down Tommy. I thought that mission was really cool.
That was good.
The way that he was...
I thought it was good, but not as good as the sniper mission in the first one.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But I did enjoy that that mission. The other one that I liked was where you're riding through the burning village on the Seraphite Island. I thought that was amazing. Just that whole visual experience and that... it's all choreographed and there's a lot to it, but it's another thing that the game does really well is it sweeps between like a set piece or some sort of dialogue or cutscene straight back into action gameplay seamlessly, and I think that is amazing. I don't think I remember a game doing that so well, and it works so well in that scene where she's riding. So there's you're on the back of a horse, you're trying to ride the horse, and you're trying to headshot these guys as you're going past them, and then you fall off the horse. Like, you're in this little area now, and it's like this. It happens so seamlessly. And it's so immersive, and that's another point, a wonderful point of the game, is that this game is so immersive because of the way that they handle these transitions. I think it's second to none in that respect.
And massively immersive. The potential drawback of that is that you may be immersed in a story you really, really don't like.
That's what
but
exactly.
It's very, very immersive, very, very atmospheric, and I think that's something that often gets overlooked, and even by me, like overlooking that in the first one, is that the encounters they're quite simple, but they're very tense because there's clickers like walking around clicking. Stalkers are actually important this time, and they're really fucking hard. Yes. I think they were in the first one, but only in like 1 or 2 sections. The stalkers don't show up when you use listen, which is your see-through walls button. They hide and they know where you are, but they don't just rush you. They're not like a runner. They will outflank you, and they will, like raptors in Jurassic Park, basically. One will come around the side, he'll get you, and then all the others will come in all at once. And generally, you're not going to have enough resources to really fight them off, so you've got to figure it out. That's really good. One of my favourite Abby sequences is when it's just a huge extended bit where you're in this house, this like housing block of flats or whatever, just full of infected and spores and all the nasty shit, and you've just got to go through it. And it's one of those where it's like around every corner, through every door, I'm like, right, please make it be over.
Yeah.
I don't have enough stuff for this. I've broken through like 4 melee weapons. I've got no guns left. I love Abby's crossbow. I wish the crossbow was just like your main weapon.
Yeah, her scar. Her scar. I liked her main like assault rifle weapon. I liked that.
Yeah.
That was good.
The weapon upgrades they're cool in the sense that they're very like well animated in the way you put it together.
Oh, I love that too.
Nice,
beautiful.
But they're very simple. I don't think they need to be anymore. But I think a lot of people are like going crazy over this like weapon mods thing. But I think what makes it cool is how animated they are and how interactive it is, as opposed to it just being in a menu. So like you dip into your bag,
absolutely,
you clip on a new thing for your gun. I do wish that you could build a suppressor, like a permanent one. For your pistol, even if it was like right at the end, I think that'd be good.
You do get the suppressed weapon on the island. No, when you're in California, right? You pick up the SMG suppressed. I get that.
And when I was playing through on New Game Plus, I was like, oh, I really like this suppressed SMG, but I'm never going to get ammo for it because no one uses it in this area. But thankfully, there's still a few bits of that dotted around, and you can get ammo for guns you don't technically have yet, which I think is it's just good. Yeah. Because they could easily overlook that sort of thing. Yeah,
I think, on immersion scale, I think it's one of the best games. I mean, we talk about Metro Exodus as being like immersive, the way that you look at a physical map and when you get to a workbench, you actually, you get to see weapons and that. But I think this takes it to another level in terms of the way that you physically see the character manipulating the weapon, taking it apart, and then cleaning it, fixing it, adding a new part. I think that just the aesthetic of that is amazing. I think more games should do. This is the benchmark for a lot of games in that way.
Yeah, I remember thinking, because you get your standard pistol, but then when I was replaying it in New Game Plus, I was like, wow, with all of my upgrades, my pistol looks really shiny now. It was black at the start, but because every time you upgrade it, she gives it just a little polish, and now it's like chrome. It's brushed silver. It's great. But that's the thing. I think a lot of people, perhaps reviewers, and this might be a bit judgmental of me and a bit harsh, but I think a lot of reviewers have kind of got carried away with the production values and the like how good everything looks, and the animation, the voice acting, all of that is outstanding across the board. Even the weaker characters like Owen, who's a bit boring, he's still like quite well played. He's just a bit flat. He's still better than fucking most other games. I think a lot of people kind of get carried away with the set dressing and how flashy it looks and kind of mistake that for quality of storytelling. Yeah, because the story itself, I don't think it's bad. It's not complete trash. It's just it's simple, and it's a story we've seen before in terms of the cycle of revenge and all that. I think if you took the revenge stuff out of the apocalypse and out of the clickers and all this, that, and the other, the game wouldn't suffer for it, if you know what I mean. The Last of Us 1, the immunity thing is hugely important. So it's specific to that game. A lot of other things have done immunity stuff, but it needs to be something viral and something like that. If you took The Last of Us and just put it in a non-apocalypse setting, in just the world, and say, oh, this person killed my dad, now I'm going to go get him. All right, he killed my dad, so now I'm going to go get them. It's the same thing. I think it doesn't necessarily justify its place to be a Last of Us game as well as it could have.
I think the amount that you enjoy this game will hinge on how much you weight the story versus all the other elements in the game. I think, and how much you love Joel and you hate the fact that you have to play with Ellie. You think, like, we've just talked about the immersion, the design, the gameplay. We've talked about all that, and the voice acting, and the animations. There's so much that is top notch, right? Almost 9, 10 out of 10 easily, right? Again, pitted against any other game, it would come out favorably. And then you'd come to the story, and that is I even like the storytelling. I like the way they tell the story, right? I like the way that it's all laid out. I like that. I don't like the story itself. I don't like that you have to play as Abby. I don't like the ending. I think it's uninspiring. I think I hate that you have to play with Ellie when they didn't set out. They didn't invest you in the character to begin with. It could have been so much better. They could have invested you in the character. And before they even got to Ellie and Joel in the whole game, if you got invested in this character Abby and then not know why she's going to try and kill some mystery person, and then it turns out, shock horror, it's Joel you're trying to kill at some point after you're invested in that character because of death. It would have been ace. It would have been the best.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. They missed the trick, right? So back to my point, right?
I think
if everything, if you take all these 5 pillars or however many pillars that you rate in a game, the only one that's weak for me is the story, right? That's the only one that's weak. Everything else is pretty good. I mean,
and even that, I don't think the story's a 0 out of 10.
No, I don't think it's 0 either. No,
I think all of the 10 out of 10s are bullshit. All of the 0 out of 10s are bullshit. Those user reviews, fucking hell, there was like 20,000 within the first like 2 hours. It's like, the game's been out 2 hours. What are you saying? And then some people still put genuine stock in user reviews. It's like, well, they're just as bullshit as the critic reviews, just in a different way. Yeah, I mean, production value, that's easily like a 9, pushing a 10, but I'm reluctant to give anything a 10.
Yeah.
I didn't encounter any like glitches or anything. It's a very like polished game. Like compare it to the likes of other AAA stuff like Anthem or Fallout 76. Completely different leagues in it functioning properly in the way it should.
I had 2 glitches.
I've encountered.
I had 2 glitches.
What did you experience?
There was one where
you on PS4 Pro or vanilla?
Say again.
You on the normal PS4 or PS?
Oh, PS4 Pro, right?
Or on the normal one? I'm just on the normal one.
So there was one area just before Ellie gets in the boat and does that section where she slides into the water and she starts swimming, but as she slid down, she rose and levitated above the water, and she was in the swimming pose, so I could turn her and paddle, but she was stuck still, just floating in the air.
Oh no.
That was a bit of a... I managed to get out of that easily. There was one kind of critical bug, but it wasn't a game-breaking bug, where you're with Abby and Lev, and there's one point where Lev has to... we're waiting for Lev to say, go up and jump through this window or something. And he didn't do it. He just sat there and waited. And I'm like, I can see this window. I can see there's nothing nothing there, so I can jump through it. I tried to jump through it. I couldn't, but Lev was just frozen. So I just reloaded a save and then come to that point again, and it worked through. So there's a couple of things. There was another one graphical thing, but other than that, it was seamless.
Yeah, I didn't experience any bugs on my first playthrough. Weirdly, maybe it's because I just didn't see them, or I was subconsciously overlooking them. I've encountered a few little visual things here and there on my New Game Plus run. One simple one, like when you've got a melee weapon, when you put it away on your back, it goes through the straps. It was little things like that, and on New Game Plus, sometimes it just wasn't. It was just kind of floating there on its own. Or like when you shoot someone and their blood's all over the wall, sometimes it like flicker in and out because it's kind of clipping through surfaces. The main thing that kind of got on my nerves on a technical level, it's not really a bug, but it's kind of a problem, is the AI getting in the way. Like, there was one moment where I was screaming at the TV for her to move. It was me and Dina. A new patrol had just come through this area. One had come in through... So there's a building here and a building here, and there's a little window ledge there. The enemy came through this side, and we were here, and I was like, right, if I just hop over, they turned around, I can get them, don't need to waste a bullet, I can just take them out, no problem. But instead, Dina's sitting there.
In the way.
She just didn't move. And I'm trying to like, normally if you walk into them, they'll kind of like hop out of the way and just move. And then I end up like, fine, I'll move over there. The enemy hops over the wall. She moves. We get spotted, and I have to start playing loud and just nailing them with my shotgun and whatnot. It's like, what are you doing? This is all your fault. You fucking pregnant bitch. Why are you here? Go home.
Wow, you're so pregnantist.
There's like 2 separate pregnant characters that they use to kind of do the same sort of emotional punch, and it's like, I mean, the point is that it's the same. They're meant to be 2 sides of the same coin. That's part of the reason why Abby is so massive, is that she's the same but different to Ellie, because Ellie's really, really skinny, and Joel even comments on it. But it's like, oh, come on.
I think the point of that is that, Ellie kills the pregnant character, right? You're rooting for Ellie. And you like
Yeah.
these two characters take different paths, right? You start off loving Ellie, and then towards the end, you're questioning, like, she's killed all these people that you kind of get to know because of the Abby storyline, and it's like she's just killed a pregnant person. That makes me feel even bad. So your like for Ellie just decreases all the way through, and then it's the opposite with Abby, right? You really hate her to begin with, and then she makes this decision. She helps the Seraphite girl. Girl and boy, and then she gets to the point where she can decide to kill the pregnant lady. She doesn't, right? So in that way, she's better than Ellie, whatever. So you're supposed to increase in your like for this character as you go, and that's another way which they kind of mirror each other. And there's just one thing on the story that I just noticed that I want to bring up, right? In the ending, we can talk about the ending, right? We can jump in that. We talked a lot about the game and mechanics and all that and everything else. But in this regard to the story, whether Ellie should kill Abby at the end or not, there was a quote here from, I think it was Neil Druckmann, from the article, again down in the description if you want to check out. Also, I should say that for more than 50% of the production, Ellie used to kill Abby at the end. So it was there, like she was supposed to kill Abby, which gave a whole different kind of feel to the ending. And then another character would have to stop the cycle of violence. We talked earlier about the cycle of violence continuing. And then he said, but at some point, though, our conversations about Yara and Lev, we came to the realization that it wasn't as honest to Ellie's character that way. Deep down inside, there's goodness there. Hopefully she can go forward and build her life. So the reason why they didn't have her kill Abby at the end was because Ellie deep down is good. And she's like coming back from the brink. You talked about like being addicted to this vengeance that she's got, and she just wants to kill and kill and kill. She gets to the very brink. She's lost pretty much everything, even her fingers. She can't play the guitar anymore. She's lost everything, and then she just stops herself. She doesn't kill a person, and then she gets on with her life, and hopefully she can start rebuilding. That was the point. That's the reason why they didn't kill Abby at the end. I know it's not as satisfying, but at least that explains it for some people.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because it's in this kind of story, Naughty Dog stories are very specific. They don't give you much in the way of choice in how the narrative unfolds at all because they want to tell it a very specific way. And I think with Ellie, it's not about what you would do in the situation. It's about what she does. And I think if Ellie had died in a similar way and Joel was the one you were playing as, and Joel was going out for revenge, Joel would have absolutely killed her because Joel is he would have ruined her. Like, he would have done some proper bad shit to her.
Yeah.
Like that. And there's no doubt he did bad shit to people who just were connected to people who kidnapped her in the first one. He would but Ellie isn't like that. And it would have been nice to see Abby die. It would have.
Oh, absolutely.
But
absolutely, the most hated game character of all time that you have to play as.
Quite possibly. I think. One thing as well, Laura Bailey, who plays Abby, it's a great performance. Yeah. Like she does a great job of playing her and everything. But even then, it's not. I don't think it's Laura Bailey's best performance because I think Abby is kind of unlikable to her friends as well. I think the pregnant girl, what's her name, Mel. She even says it's like you're an arsehole. You're a bad person. Yeah. I think Laura Bailey has used her talents more effectively in other things, but that's not to say that she's not like really well realized. Yeah. The point about Abby's character design, big women like that, like jacked women, do exist, especially in like athletics or like weightlifting, stuff like that. And you do walk past a gym when you're playing as Abby in her like
with Lev,
like base camp.
Oh right, yeah, in the base camp.
With Manny. Yeah. And I feel like if there was like a quick optional interaction thing there, like you can walk in and show her lifting weights, just be like, that's why I'm so strong because I worked out so much, or like because you can see a scoreboard in the background but you can't read it because it's too far away. If you could see that Abby was in like the top few on there just because she's worked out all this much since Joel, because in all of the flashbacks she's in like good shape, but she's not like a unit. She's not like totally
she gradually gets bigger during the course of the flashbacks, right?
Yeah, and I think that the point of that is because she's preparing for Joel. The whole time she's hunting him down. That's the reason her relationship fractures with with the boring guy. What's his name? Owen. Most of the new characters aren't as interesting as the old guards. I mean, there's no one. They're not likable.
They're not nice people. They're just not nice people. They're just part of a.
And that is a deliberate choice. I think that's a deliberate choice to make them unlikable, but show that they still have humanity. But there's no one as good as Tess. There's no one as good as Bill, and Bill was an arsehole, but Bill was really interesting. There's no one as sinister as the cannibal David. So I just feel like it's a bit of a shortcoming this time, because the first one had so many good characters in it, or like Marlene. Marlene was really good. It's definitely a good game though. In terms of gameplay, it's nothing like groundbreaking or bringing anything new to the table, but I felt it was very satisfying. If it's got a good headshot, it's a win for me, and the headshots feel great. There's a real nasty crunch. You can do horrific things to people if that's a selling point for you.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the themes. I like the darkness. I like the grittiness. I love that in all media. If it's a film, TV show, or if it's a game, I love that about this game. Absolutely. I think more games should do that. It dabbles with a bit of, Ellie's traumatic experiences. I like everything that's dark, right? But it's too dark. I think the ending has to be better. Ellie walks away with her life, and she's forgiven, and she's a better person now. But that's just, again, I know I just said it was dark, but it's kind of the opposite of that. It's too positive an outlook, that, right? Ellie needs to kill Abby. I feel like Ellie needs to kill Abby after all she's gone through. She's not going to forgive her. Like, she's having these flashbacks. She has to kill Abby. I think the writers missed the trick there by making her not kill Abby. Absolutely. And I might have forgiven them a little bit more for them making me play as Abby for fucking so long. Oh, so horrible. I might have forgiven them a little bit. If I said to you in a message when I was halfway through, that if her head doesn't explode before the end of the game, I'm not going to be happy, and it didn't. So again, I'm not happy. It's a great game. It's a fantastic game on a lot of levels. The story does let it down for me, though. Yeah,
and I think so. After she beats the shit out of Abby, gets her fingers chewed off, she ultimately doesn't kill her. Then she goes home, back to her farm where she lived with Dina and the baby. They've both gone. They've moved out. The whole place is cleared. Presumably, they've gone back to Jackson, which was the community you were living in before, with Joel and Tommy and everyone else. And then Ellie's just alone. She tries to play a guitar, and then that echoes the very first thing I think you see in the game, which is Joel cleaning that same guitar. And, because he gave it to her, blah blah blah. You then have a flashback to the night before the game starts, the night before the meat of the game starts, which is so it's the trailer which had the kiss, and then a little bit more, which is when the bigoted guy comes out and it's like, oh, you're a dyke or whatever, and then there's whatever. Then she has a talk with Joel. And now that you've got the additional context, which is told through flashbacks, all of which I love, all of the Joel flashbacks are amazing. And on a point on that note, it's almost an unfortunate thing that all of my favourite moments were the Ellie and Joel moments, and that's a specific thing they didn't do in this one. But again, I think that's deliberate. I think it's to show, right, that this is how good things were with these two, and this is how dour Ellie is now, and how she's not the same anymore. Like that's fine, but they were more fun. There's easily a moment, I think, up there. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar to the giraffe moment. I don't want to spoil it. Well, we spoiled a lot anyway, but I think this moment it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, so then Ellie, she's alone. She has this flashback. You learn that she hasn't forgiven Joel, but she's open to it. They're slowly starting to work through it, because I think at that point, a year or two earlier, she goes to the hospital where she was supposed to be killed, where her life was supposed to end and the world was supposed to be saved. She knows the truth through and through, exactly how it happened. But they're not friends. There's a lot of tension there, but they're starting to work through it, and that's part of the reason why she's so distraught about the whole thing, is because she never had the chance to forgive him or anything like that, and there's still this unresolved issues. But one of my biggest problems with the ending itself is she then leaves the house and just walks off, and I think that's sort of fake ambiguity, if you know what I mean. Because the ending of the first one, Joel lies.
Well, they explained that.
And there's so...
Yeah, just to interject here, they explained that in this interview, right? The point of that ending was she leaves everything behind. She leaves the guitar behind. You can see the guitar is in the front of the shot and she's in the back walking away. And that's to signify that she's left Joel behind her. That part of her life is ended now. Joel's behind her, the guitar's behind her. She can't even play it anymore, so she leaves it. And the point of it is that she's moving forward with her life.
Yeah, I get that. And the next iteration of this story Ellie will probably be a very different person again, because this version of Ellie is very different.
I don't want Ellie to be in the third. I want it to be a whole new cast.
I think The Last of Us should be like a sort of anthology thing of different people. I think if in concept, all of the stuff with Abby and the Seraphites, I think the Seraphites are so interesting and they're just not expanded upon enough. And I think that's some stuff the devs have said they worked on it, but it had to get cut for this, that, and the other. And it's a shame. If you just took Abby's thing with Lev and the other Yara, I think that could be a really interesting game all on its own. If you took away the Joel being brutally murdered stuff, I think that could have been really interesting.
Or like number 3, they do a prequel just before, just after the outbreak, but just before you start the main bulk of game number 1.
In the apocalypse,
as Joel. Let me play as Joel again, please. Don't make me play with this horrible character who I don't like, who kills my favourite protagonist ever. Don't make me do that. Give me some fun out of a game. But let me play as Joel.
Completely disagree wanting to play as Joel in that time period. I don't want to see what he did with Tommy in the thing, because I really want to leave that open to
ambiguity.
My imagination. Yeah, I like the ambiguity of it. I really want to play as Joel again. If we, like, even if it's a DLC mission or something, just give me a bunch of shit with Joel and Ellie. Just go at like day-to-day life in Jackson. Let's go hunt some deer or whatever.
Yeah. All right. So
go back.
We have been yabbering for about an hour now on this, so we're going to have to come to some sort of natural conclusion now. We've discussed pretty much everything that we've got on our list here, so we are going to have to move on. So what have we got? Any closing thoughts or anything else that you want to discuss before we do?
Don't let other people, including us, influence your opinion of what this game is, because I think it's... Oh, you have to play it. Everyone's been fucking saying that, but I think just because people are saying it's SJW trash, that's not the case. Just because people are saying it's a masterpiece, that's not the case. There are parts of it which are masterpiece worthy, like the visuals, like the animation, but I guess that's what crunch gets you. Yeah, we'll fucking leave that. And then there's all the other controversies, like the crunch, like the bullshit DMCA strikes and this, that, and the other, and fake trailers. I have no problem with fake trailers in that way, because it's to preserve story things. Movies do it all the time, and I think it's actually I'm totally about it. I think it's fine. But they'll leave a comment or put a question for next week. Maybe we'll handle that. But story, there are fundamental design flaws, not just in what happens, but how they tell it. The split up of pacing is what really damages it for me. The Abby stuff, she's just not as good as Ellie. The whole time playing as Abby, I was just looking forward to getting back to Ellie again. I didn't even know it was going to happen. I wasn't even sure. Because based on the leaks I'd had spoiled for me, I was led to believe that Abby beats the shit out of Ellie, and that's the end. And then we had this farm scene, and I was like, okay, long kind of epilogue. Then an extra bit of Ellie, and I was like, yes, finally, I can be Ellie again. This is where I want it to be. 7 out of 10 story. It's really not trash. It's just, it's average story, I'd say, because it's something you've seen before. Its message isn't that profound like it thinks it is. Gameplay, it's very simple, but I really like it. I think it's really rewarding. Gameplay, maybe an 8, but that's very subjective in the sense that I enjoyed it that much. I don't think a lot of people will, because it's very linear, it's very scripted and all that sort of shit. Visuals, fucking 11 out of 10.
Yeah. No, I think you're right there. I think that's pretty much how I feel about it. But then again, I am more emotional about my experiences, and I strongly feel that I equally love and hate this game. This almost the same.
I think
level.
over time you're gonna figure out which side you really fall on.
I think, if anything, this game will always be remembered for being divisive,
Absolutely.
for being half amazing in my eyes and half absolute.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why are you making me do this?
What is funny is how clearly the moment is that you can pinpoint it. Like, it's as soon as you start playing as Abby,
yeah, exactly. It's that
changes
moment.
And your experience changes.
I was fine with Abby when you played with her to begin with, and then when she killed Joel, I thought this was an amazing twist. I thought this was brilliant. You get to play as the person who kills Joel, but then you got to play, are forced to play with her afterwards. That was the mistake. I think. Oh God.
I think if they didn't try and humanize her, and I reckon someone else will do that kind of gameplay twist better. And it's a really good idea to do a gameplay twist like that, because it's games telling the story in a way that no other medium can. I think that's a really great thing that none other things do. But I think if you took Abby, that twist, and playing as her as the villain, and you actually make her a villain, you actually make her horrific and unpleasant and bad. All the bad shit that you've been doing as Ellie is justified because you've got a means to an end. Arguably justified, I mean. Means to an end. If you take Abby and you just make her horrific, brutal, uncaring, cruel, sadistic, all that to make you hate her, be like, fuck this bitch, she's going down, and then you actually take her down, I think that would be a really compelling way of using that twist. In a more perhaps shallow, satisfying way, but I feel like it'd be really satisfying, really interesting.
So
but that's it.
So there you go. I think that's us dumped all of our thoughts and feelings about The Last of Us 2. I think I've pretty much covered everything.
I've got more thoughts and feelings. Like, we could keep going.
We could keep going, but I think
we must stop.
Yeah, I think we've it's been catharsis, is what it is, because it's just so emotional. You know what? I woke up like 5:30 in the morning. I'm gonna say this once, right? I love day one of playing it. It's like my own 3 days of Seattle, right? I love day one of playing it, because it was Ellie. I hated day two of playing it because I switched to Abby. And day three, I kind of come round a bit towards Abby and I enjoyed the ending gameplay and the new environments and that. And I kind of liked it. So it was like I loved day one, hated day two, and in the middle on day three. And then there was like when I woke up on day two, after day two, on day three, morning three of me playing it, I just couldn't get over what they'd done. I was seething, absolutely seething. I woke up at 5:30 and I couldn't get back to sleep because I was turning over in my head. They had that much of an effect on me. Now, whether I will remember that fondly in future because it's a memorable game, and I think no game has ever made me feel like that. I might think, well, this is a game, to be remembered for that reason, because I hated it. I hated what it made me do. I think that's the way it'll go down in my memory. It's like it is a memorable game because it's forced me to do something that I really, really hated, because I wanted to get to the end. I wanted to see how Ellie's story panned out. So I was never leaving it. I was never not playing as Abby, but I was so tempted to.
I think no matter what I feel about it, I may not agree with several of the choices they made, but I respect that they had their confidence to just go for it, but knowing it would be divisive, and they just tell that, this is the story we want to tell. I respect that. One other point which I really want to quickly add on to gameplay, which I forgot, and I think it's a really important thing to me, I might have already touched on it. They didn't use enough of mixed encounters. They used a couple where, like, you're in a room full of humans and you can hear clickers, so if you trigger the clickers, that'll wipe out the humans for you. That happened a couple of times. It was really, really good. And towards the end, these new faction of enemies, they've got clickers and infected chained up. So if you sneak round, you can pull the chain,
release,
and they'll just run round and kill everyone. I thought that was excellent. That was really, really good. And again, it's nothing like no huge technical innovation or anything like that. But I wish there was more encounters like that, where I can turn enemies against each other, because that's what I look for in stealth. I like manipulating my enemies and making them fall into my traps. So that's just a quick little final note, which I forgot to say.
Like I said, if you guys are interested in this, I think this is the first interview that Druckmann and Gross have done together since the release of the game. It's definitely worth the read if you're interested in their thoughts and feelings about the decisions that went into the game and stuff, because the questions are really good. They've really thought through the questions, and they've put really good questions to them and teased out of them some interesting information. That's the IndieWire.com. Just search for IndieWire Neil Druckmann. That's what I did. or there's a link in the description. Go and check that out. So, and let us know your thoughts. It's a spoiler cast, this, so you can spoil as much as you want. Tell us what you think, whether you agree with us or not, down in the comments of this video. Something we missed out on. We obviously missed a lot. There's a lot to talk about. We spent over an hour talking about it, but we still missed some probably. Let us know all your thoughts, anything and everything, down in the comments, and we much appreciate it.
Do you want to know the thing I hated most? That sex scene. That was horrific. I hated it.
Yeah.
I was just like, what is this? This is completely unnecessary. The way Dina and Ellie's one was done was way better. It's just a kiss, then you're done. Instead of just... It was dispassionate. It was just...
You know what? I spent so much of the game, because I'd been spoiled that there was... Obviously, there was the trans person in there, right? And I wasn't sure whether it was Abby or not. And it's not. Obviously, it's not. But I, for the whole time we're playing of it, for a lot of the time we're playing as Abby, I wasn't sure. And then that scene, I was like confused. I was like, are they doing it from behind for a reason? Because they can't do it from the front. But obviously, then Lev comes in, and it's like, well, obviously that's the trans character. And by the way, I didn't feel there was, I think people getting it.
No, I didn't think it was forced at all.
No.
If you don't like that sort of thing, all right, fair enough. But I didn't think it was ham-fisted or anything like that.
I totally understand now why people were upset with it. However, I didn't understand that it wasn't just for those themes. It was more that you have to play as the antagonist. You have to play as Abby. Had I ever known that on the lead-in, then I might have felt a little bit differently. But we were going in thinking it was all the outrage was all just because of the trans thing and the themes and the SJW agenda, whatever. But that wasn't the case, and so we were mistaken thinking that was, and just
no. I still knew it was Abby, but I still wanted to give it a chance. And I think a lot of people would jump into conclusions that she is trans when she isn't. That's just that's not true.
Yeah.
She's a straight white woman.
Straight white woman. She's just got bigger muscles than any of the guys in the game.
That's like, she's
because women can be powerful too, right?
Apparently. I fully expected when you go into her bedroom to like collect her bag or something, I was expecting to see weights everywhere and like protein powder and shit. No, she just works out really hard.
Okay. She works out really hard. That is the end of our Last of Us 2 discussion.
Now.
She works out really hard. Now let's move on to the next segment in this podcast. We're probably already running over by at least half an hour. But the next segment is the community segment. So where we take questions from the supporters over on Patreon. If you want to join the channel and become a member, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, or you can click the join button down next to the subscribe button here on YouTube. You get early access to the podcast. You get to ask us questions if you join the Discord with us, and all those awesome things. And you get the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping us you're supporting us to bring you this content that you assumedly like. So new signups this week, we've had 4. Craig became a $5 patron. Thank you, Craig. Adam Kelly has become a $5 patron. This is weird because I know an Adam Kelly. I wonder if it is the Adam Kelly I know. Probably not, but he became a $5 patron, so thank you very much. Marcus Hicks became a $5 patron. Really appreciate that, Marcus.
That's a cool name. That's like an action hero name. It's like Marcus Hicks, Space Marine.
Yeah, he's from Aliens, isn't it, Hicks? And Michael van der Kroek became a $1 patron. We appreciate every single dollar because it really all adds up. If everybody who enjoyed our content paid us $1, we wouldn't have to ask anybody else. We could turn our ads off on YouTube and we could live a happy life. So $1 is really appreciated. Thank you very much, everybody, for signing up this week. Let's get straight into the first question. So first question from Metal Shark is the weekly quiz, and this is for me this week. Another guess the character quiz this week for Gaz. Again, trying to keep it to titles and characters characters you'll know, but making things tricky. Score 7 or more for Henry to get next week's quiz. Good luck to you and those playing at home. The stakes are high now, so I've got to score 7.
Right, where are we? Let's find the start of this thing, because this looks like quite a long one. Okay. Taller and slimmer than my big brother. Took till the sequel before being in bother. Dark Moons and Mansions, the odd hammer toss. Played in a movie by Sid the Sloth.
Tall and slim and then my big brother.
this.
My first thought is the Mario and Luigi, right? And then Dark Moons and Mansions. Luigi's Mansion is a game that my daughter plays and she's got. And I know there's a movie. I don't know. I know there's a Mario and Luigi movie. I'm not sure who plays it, whether it's Sid the Sloth or not. But that's going to be my guess, and it has to be Luigi.
That's it, you're right, it's Luigi. Taller and slimmer than his big brother Mario, appeared in Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon, and Luigi's Hammer Toss, played by John Leguizamo, thank you, I was trying to find that name, in the 1993 movie, who is the voice of Sid the Sloth in the Ice Age films. So, well done there, that's 1 out of 1, 100% so far. Next up, have a smile on my face, although not that perky, drives me mad, they're out there, unwashed and all dirty. I'm one of a kind, not big like my peers. My purpose in life, not used in years.
I'm very... I don't have any clues for this one.
Smile on my face, although not that perky. Drives me mad, they're not out there, washed. Drives me mad, they're out there, unwashed and all dirty. I'm one of a kind, not big like my peers. My purpose in life, not used in years.
It literally gives me no clues, this one, so I'm going to have to pass it.
This is... Muggy from Fallout New Vegas. A small Securibot with a smiling coffee mug on their screen designed to be obsessed with washing and crockery. Does that help?
That doesn't ring a bell. I'm going to have to... I know
you call yourself a fan. You're a fake fan. Fake Fallout fan.
Yeah. That was a difficult one. I mean, hopefully they get easier. Oh, yeah. Muggy from New Vegas. Got it.
You got him?
I got him.
Right, next up. Come from Japan and am a rather large chap, perfected the art of the 100-hand slap. Red paint on my face and clothes striped blue-white. My flying headbutt can oft win the fight.
That is E-Honda. Is who that is?
E-Honda from Street Fighter 2 onwards. A sumo wrestler from Japan with red face paint in the Kumadori style and wears a blue and white... Yukata, thanks Wikipedia, will definitely not forget any of those words immediately. Yeah, quite right. His signature move is the 100-hand slap, a flurry of movement to be avoided, and can perform a flying headbutt. Groovy. Well, I think anyone can perform a flying headbutt. It's just...
how you land is the problem, and how much it hurts.
Yeah. So that's what, 2 out of 3?
Yes.
Okay, next up. As a giver of quests, I'm not well liked, cannot be killed, although you sure tried. Heading up those who'll respond in a short unit of time, throw down my rifle, so upstairs you'll climb.
This is from Fallout 4. It is...
Yeah, I think I know who this is.
What's his name?
He's he's got a cowboy hat, right?
It is...
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm having a blank. Fallout 4
Everyone hates
character. Him. This isn't cheating, by the way.
Yeah, I think that's fair because you know who he is.
Yeah, I just know the name.
Can't find his name. I've got it.
It is.
His first name is a city in Lancashire, and his second name is I'm trying to think of a rhyme that doesn't completely give it away. His initials are, if it's the person I'm thinking of, PG.
Preston Garvey.
Let's find out if you're correct. And yes, you are. Preston Garvey from Fallout 4.
Wow.
A radio quest giver
heading
up the Minutemen and not appreciated by many. It sounds like he's an unsung hero in your eyes, Melchar. He throws you a laser rifle when first meeting him so you can climb the stairs to rescue the survivors. Okay, so that's 3 out of 4, I think. Some call me father, scatter seed round in hope, led my children to Eden, so... What's that? Lead my children to Eden, so in the end they will cope. Yellow shades and hair tie, as if selling artisan beer. You didn't like the expansion that came out the next year.
So this is Far Cry 5. Eden refers to the promised land in the cult. The leader of the cult is Joseph Seed, if I remember correctly. So it has to be him.
Joseph Seed from Far Cry 5 and New Dawn. Known as the Father, he scatters the Seed family around Hope County, trying to lead his children to Eden's Gate. Gareth didn't like New Dawn's RPG elements very much.
Did not. Correct.
Okay, next up, that's 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
I think. Carry a sword and addicted to a drug, plan out my attack to down every thug. Like to watch telly, drinking tea before bed. Despite points plus and minus, my name begins with Z. I think I know.
Carry a
this.
sword and addicted to a drug, plan out my attack to down every thug. Like to watch telly, drinking tea before bed. Despite points plus and minus, my name begins with Z. The only sword-wielding, drug-addicted hero I can think of is...
what a Tinder bio.
Is the person out of Katana Zero. And
that's what
I cannot
thinking.
think of the name. It's not Zorro, I know that. Katana Zero. Is his name Zero if it begins with a Z? Is it Zero? Zero.
Just you going for it? Yeah. Zero from Katana Zero. That's the correct answer. A katana-wielding, Chronos-addicted assassin who has an apartment scene at the end of most days where you drink tea and watch TV. Okay, 5 out of 6, doing very well. In British Columbia, I fly round in a beaver. Am more than a countryman, Justin Bieber. Lost, wounded, and alone, with wolves closing in. Lights in the sky when we begin. I have no idea.
British Columbia
flies around in a beaver.
Justin Bieber?
More manly than countryman, Justin Bieber. So, British Columbia's in Canada. Yeah. Justin Bieber's Canadian. This person is manlier than Justin Bieber. I mean, it's not really that difficult. Even I am more manly than Justin Bieber.
This is the Long Dark character.
Yeah.
It's the character out of The Long Dark. I should remember the names. The Long
Mr.
Dark
The Long Dark.
Main character. Google coming to my aim here is Will Mackenzie is who it is.
Will Mackenzie, isn't he in In-Betweeners? He is. Will Mackenzie from The Long Dark flies the a de Havilland Beaver in BC. I assume that's a plane.
Yeah.
In BC, Canada, delivering mail before crashing after lights in the sky at the beginning of the game. I'll give you that one. You may have Googled it, but you knew who it was. I'll give you that one.
Okay.
That's 6 out of 7?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think. With a name like Santa, you'd think I'd give... With a name like Santa, you'd think I'd give, not take. Getting involved with a cartel proved to be a mistake. Wife spends my money, family falling apart. Compared to my colleagues, I dress rather smart.
So this, I think, is it GTA 5? Is it what's his name at GTA 5? Michael, is it? I think it's Michael.
Okay. Well done. I wouldn't have got that. Michael DeSanta from GTA 5, a bank robber with a dysfunctional family that gets on the wrong side of a cartel. See, now it makes sense, but yeah, that was drawing a blank on that one.
Yeah.
That is 7 out of 8. So you're matching my score, so it looks like I'm going to take it next time, unless you get both these wrong, and then we'll see what happens. A former Marine, now in the Angel City, work as a detective married to Marie. Born in San Francisco and fond of a hat. If you think I'm bad luck, gonna press X to doubt that. What's his name? It's, yeah.
It's the same actor that's in Mad Men as well, isn't it? He's in Mad Men. It's the guy from... I can't even think of the name of the game. X. It's that meme, X to doubt.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. I haven't actually played this game. I just watched a playthrough. I know the game. I don't know the name of the game. I don't know the name of the character.
You can't have a point for that. So you've got to have to, I'm not being that generous. You've got to have a think.
I can't even Google the name of the game because I'm blanking on the name of the game. So I'm gonna have to pass on this. I know who it is though.
That's I only know it's from LA Noire. I don't know who it is. It's Cole Phelps from LA Noire. Was in the Marines, where he got a reputation for bringing bad luck. Now a detective in the City of Angels, Los Angeles. All right, so that's still seven out of 9. So this is the last one. We'll see what happens.
Star Trek reference there for the fans.
Good with a bow, I keep things low-key. Now able to travel, having grown up sickly. My dad's rather godly, but broke the protection of home. When you hear what he calls me, you'll most likely groan.
That's obviously Atreus from God of War.
That's the one. It is Atreus from God of War, known also as Loki, as in low key.
Low key.
That's why. Yeah. Loki being a tacky clue. It was a good clue. Don't be so hard on yourself. His dad broke the magic protection tree circle protecting their home, but luckily he's now healthy enough to travel. So 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. I'm pleased. I only used Google twice. I'm happy with myself.
I was generous. I could have given you half marks, but yeah, I'll take the next one. I'll take that fucking punishment.
And as usual, we appreciate the effort and the lengths that you go to generate these quizzes every single week, Mr. Metal Shark. We salute you, sir. You are a blessing to us. Thank you. And let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, the next one is just our Game of the Ages question, where God knows how long it started ago now. It's been going on for ages. We have to answer our favourite game of a given year, starting from the year we were born, and it's gone up for every week. The only rule is that you have to have played it at some point, not necessarily at the time it came out, just at some point. I've long exhausted my film list, so do you want to take it away with your games and what year you've got?
Yeah. I didn't play a lot of the AAAs in 2016, so I've got 3 notable indies here. So for those of you who say we don't cover enough indie games... You go and screw yourself. So the first up is Firewatch, which was all right for an experience. It's one of those games that did things a little bit different. Yeah, it's a bit of a walking simulator, but I enjoyed it, so what? Second place was Inside. I really enjoyed Inside. A bit of a short experience, and it's just an interesting game in many ways. I like that. But the winner for 2016 for me was one that I played more recently, which is Darkest Dungeon. It's got an addictive gameplay mechanic, which I just love the gameplay loop of it. I've talked about it in a recent podcast too. So Darkest Dungeon takes my game of 2016. I didn't enjoy Doom. I didn't enjoy Civ 6. What other games were from 2016? I didn't play Apex Legends, so don't be shouting at me. I just didn't play it. Not Apex Legends, fucking Titanfall 2. That's the one. Yeah, I didn't play that, so don't be shouting at me. So I think there was another one as well but yeah, I didn't play. I didn't enjoy them. So Darkest Dungeon is my game from 2016. Now, Henry, you've got a film from 2006. What's your choice?
Yeah, I'll move on to films. This was quite a sparse year as well in terms of films. Not really much that was a standout, but apart from a handful. So I've got The Da Vinci Code, which I thought was pretty cool. I've only seen it once, so I might be misremembering. The Pursuit of Happiness, that was one of the first movies where I nearly cried because I thought it was just really sad. But I've only seen it once, and that's my prevailing memory. If it can make me feel like that, then it must be a good film. Unless it's crying because of how bad it is, like many people probably will for The Last of Us. Well, hey! Casino Royale, which is an excellent film. It's just brilliant. But I think The Prestige is my choice. It's about magicians, not wizards, magicians. And it's Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman giving 2 of their best performances, and they have this rivalry, and they always want to one-up each other on the next trick, and they do crazy tricks, and it's got a really good, like, twisty ending. It's non-linear. It's kind of like a weird structure, but it's really good. Christopher Nolan movie, so it's probably going to at least look pretty. It's going to look stunning. So yeah, The Prestige. That's it.
Cool.
Prestige.
So let's move
Prestige.
on. The Prestige. We have 6 questions remaining, and we're already at time, an hour and a half. We're going to go over by somewhat, so let's see if we can skip over these quicker rather than shorter, rather than longer. So next up, Lord Crisp. This is a question that was missed last week. We just about missed the deadline. So Bear that in mind. This is not really a question, but more like a debate starter, I guess. So, Gaz, you mentioned last week that you see it as people who complain about agendas as people who must be against those agendas. I beg to differ. I'm wholeheartedly for equal rights of any kind, but I'm sick and tired of the SJW bullshit. I'm not against content with agendas. I'm against content that is based on those agendas alone and doesn't bring anything else. And No Henry has said something similar on a podcast. People like me who's turned to scream about SJWs is being pictured as people. I don't get this. Is being pictured as people who's against the agendas. We're not. We're against them making shitty content, ruining beloved characters only for the sake of political agendas. The Last Jedi is a great example with all rich people have child slaves, run casinos, sell weapons, and the bad guys are cruel to animals, and that's one of the smaller ones from there. There's a reason you usually only hear us screaming when it's a beloved characters franchise. It's not the agenda itself we're against. We hate that they ruin stories and characters. The just don't watch it argument is completely valid for much of the content, and that is what happens for much of it. But Henry knows from Star Wars that it's not that simple. When it's a franchise you love, you get upset, even if Henry's problem with The Last Jedi isn't directly agenda based. Just let me have my no bullshit escapism and entertainment, and then I'll watch Black Klansman when I feel like it. Awesome movie on a fairly current topic, by the way. Don't you have characters or franchises that you'd be pissed if they got torn apart for some outside agenda reason? Well, let me address you this directly, because it's kind of directed at me. The thing is, when I watch the movie we're talking about here, which is The Last Jedi, right? You see all rich people have child slaves, run casinos, sell weapons to the bad guys, and are cruel to animals. That's what you see when you watch it. All I see is a scene where there's people who are very rich and they've got child slaves. I don't see that this represents, or that they're trying to represent, all people, rich people have child slaves, run casino. I don't see that as an agenda. I just see that as a scene. I just see that as one isolated group of people who are this way on this one island, in this one outer on this planet, in the outer reaches of the galaxy. That's all I see. I take it at face value. I don't extrapolate the meaning that you do, right? You take from that to mean that the people who wrote this must be saying that all rich people have child slaves, run casinos, and you attribute an agenda to that. That's in your head. I don't do that, right? So that's what I mean by the people who have an agenda. The people who are against an agenda have an agenda themselves. What I mean is that you want them to change the way that they create stuff to please you. I don't agree with that. I think that people should be able to be creative in their own way and do whatever they want. And if you're projecting an agenda into the situation, I don't do that, right? And that's not because I'm wrong or anything. I just don't see that this represents the rest of society, or they're trying to represent society or anything like that. I just don't go that deep with it. I just take it on face value. So that's kind of what I mean. Your agenda is you want to neuter their content. You want to stop them from making movies and TV shows in the way that they want to. That's the way I see it, right? That's my interpretation. So that hopefully that kind of explains my angle. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just explaining to you how I observe this situation. It's the same with anything. It's only until people point out to me, oh, there's an agenda there. There's all black people. It's saying that black people this and that. I really don't see that. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm missing the point of the people making these shows and films or whatever. All I see is I don't see that anything on TV is representative of a majority or anything like that. Maybe I enjoy a lot of things that people shouldn't do. I don't know. I think hopefully that explains my position anyway. Not saying that you're wrong. I'm just explaining my position.
I think I touched on this in a comment on Discord, so I'll probably retread similar ground if you saw that. I think a lot of it boils down to it's similar to the whole Last of Us thing. What I didn't like is people judging it before they've had a chance to actually look at it in its entirety, and it's jumping to conclusions. So the Last Jedi thing, I think, is a good example of, at some time, I don't think the casino planet is a particularly good example of like an overt political agenda type thing. Because, I mean, arguably saying, oh, yeah, they're saying capitalism is bad, but that's so common in media. I don't think that's particularly a big deal in terms of agenda. I don't think it's a very good scene. I think it kills the pace, and I think what it's trying to say isn't very interesting, and it's very cliche. The agenda thing in The Last Jedi, I'd say, is what's her name? Admiral Holdo, who's a completely uninteresting character, but she's got this bright purple hair, and it's as if she's designed solely for the purpose of being token strong woman number 3 checkbox. That's when I think tokenism is a huge problem, because that's when they make these characters so defined by their race, color, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, all that crap. Generally, no one gives a shit if they're a well-written character. No one... Well, see, this is another thing. Ellie is gay in The Last of Us. Most people, not everyone, most people don't care because she's still a good character for the most part. But some people disagree that she's not a good character, but she's well acted, well produced, all that. The gay side is irrelevant for most people. A lot of people are fundamentally against it. Some people are saying no. It's no one saying that Ellie's gay and that's the problem. A lot of people are, like, whether they think it or not, or they're just memeing, they're using certain language which is like wrong and bigoted, but whatever. But for the Last of Us, that character, I dislike her because she's a bad character. That may be a byproduct of agenda, but I feel like we can never know that until we know inside the creator's mind. And yeah, they'll probably lie when they come out, especially if there's something that's a nice bit of foreshadowing or a nice metaphor that they didn't actually intend, but people have extrapolated on their own. They're definitely going to take credit for that. But yeah, what I really don't like is when people scream it about everything. I haven't watched the all-female Ghostbusters movie because I don't want to. It's from my I don't want to watch it because it looked bad. But I'm not going to shit all over it because of that. I don't think it's fair to shit on it if you haven't seen it. I think it's shit, and I don't want to watch it because of that. But I'm not just going to run around all over Twitter and be like, it's shit, because I don't even have better things to do. I just don't want to do that. Same with that people were screaming about Charlie's Angels being a new Agenda one, but please correct me if I'm wrong about this one. But how is that one an agenda? Because Charlie's Angels was already an all-girl action team. I don't like what is the agenda in that one. I'm genuinely curious. Then they did Ocean's 8, and generally people can see through this shit. That's the thing. People didn't like, critics and viewers didn't like Ocean's 8. Viewers and critics didn't like Ghostbusters. It doesn't make you a sexist or this, that, and the other if you are. I just think the agenda argument can be so muddied and ruined by people behaving the exact same way the opposite side do. Painting it, tarring it with this brush, because a lot of SJWs get upset because everything is racist and everything is sexist. If you don't have a strong woman, your fiction is irrelevant. It's wrong. We should destroy it. But then at the same time, you see people on the other side being like, they're only doing this because it's a woman. They're only doing this to make him gay to fill an agenda. Thing is, the agenda stuff, they're not going to make more money doing it. Like the production companies and film studios, they're not going to gain anything by doing this apart from maybe brownie points from a small section of Twitter. But that will then get counted out by the people who hate that sort of stuff, whether they are homophobic, sexist, whatever, or like you say, you just don't like seeing it, you like being pushed on and all that sort of stuff. I don't get it. I don't get the idea that a creator is doing it to get brownie points because or what do they call it? Virtue signaling. I think virtue signaling is a very tricky topic. Some people it's just, oh, look at me, I'm such a hero. But some people, you're just being nice. You're just being kind.
Yeah.
That's
it's the same as being nice. It's just the way that people interpret it, right?
Yeah. So it shouldn't be this way, but often when I see the word SJW these days, because it's so overused, I roll my eyes. Sometimes it's true, and I'm kind of disenchanted with that line of thinking being Like I just same if I see someone with a fucking anime profile picture on Twitter saying something is offensive, I'm like, oh, here we fucking go. Now they come out and they complain. There's snowflakes on both sides. If you don't like it, just don't. And you think you say if you don't like it, don't watch. You can do the same with Star Wars. It doesn't matter that it's Star Wars. It doesn't matter that it's arguably the biggest IP on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, and the point is that they're ruining these characters that we love. They created those characters. They're allowed to do whatever they want with them.
Yeah,
if they ruin them for you, then they've ruined them for you. Don't be angry with them. That's their choices, and I think that's the bottom line for me.
With Joel in The Last of Us, people want him to go out like a hero. That's not the kind of story that the way The Last of Us was told anyway. And what happened to him is bad. You're not supposed to like it. I said he got what he deserved. He definitely did, based on his behavior in the last one. But I don't like seeing that. You're not supposed to like seeing it. I think it's. Oh, but I'm not going to be that fucking guy. Who said it? Some guy compared The Last of Us to Schindler's List and has been roasted for it. It's like, well, that's just a silly comparison to make. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like people, I think, want to exert a bit too much control over other characters that they don't create, and I don't think you can't fault people for that, because it happens naturally, and often it's because characters are so well written, so well acted, this, that, and the other. But you don't have to like everything they do. You can still be a fan. Like, you just I don't like The Last Jedi. I think it's quite a flawed film in a lot of structural ways, and how characters behave unnaturally. It's not. I don't think that's anything really part of an agenda. Like, I don't think Luke Skywalker's behaves the way I think Luke would. But again, that's me, my own kind of prejudices and my own wants for the character. But it doesn't mean the film's bad or that it is an agenda. I don't know. I just think
that's true. Let's move on anyway. Next question. This past week there were numerous demos on Steam. It's you to read. I'll read this one. This past week, that's from Loachgar, by the way. This past week, there were numerous demos on Steam from upcoming newly released games. Did you give any a go? And if so, are there any full releases that you're excited for? Would recommend following. Since you don't have a PC, then I would say that you haven't played any of them. And I've been playing Last of Us 2 all week. So, unfortunately, Loachgar, no is the answer to that question. And because we're short on time, we're just going to move on. Next up, do you want to read Cloney?
Yeah, next is Cloney99. Any of you played Wing Commander or anything comparable in the past? Are you hyped for Star Wars Squadrons? Or really disappointed that 5v5 will probably be the height of gameplay, although you can play it in VR? Never played Wing Commander. I assume that's some sort of flight sim. But my favourite Star Wars game is Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader. And if Star Wars Squadrons is anything like that, then I will love it. But it's an EA game that's certainly going to be multiplayer heavy, and it's retailing at lower than industry standard price, so it's probably going to be very short and very light and thin on anything. But I want a Star Wars flight sim to be good. I want it. But I don't believe it. All the art and the trailer was kind of cool, like flashy, like explosions, and
that's cool, that's the point for me. I think I can't be hyped for a game where I've only seen a movie. There's no we don't know how the game's going to play. I don't know a lot of details about it. I've just not. I've seen the trailer obviously, but that's about it. I'm not hyped for it. And
like, I watched Top Gun the other day.
Just wait and see.
And I want Top Gun, but Star Wars. Give me Top Gun with Star Wars ships, and then I'll be happy. But right now, cool. I'm not hyped for it. I'm hyped for the idea, but I'm not.
Next up, White Wolf. Questions about nations. If you had to change nationality, which nation would you choose to be a citizen of? Why? You'd have to live and work there. I wouldn't change national. I'm happy with Welsh, thanks. How about you?
I feel like the grass is always greener, isn't it? Like, I've joked about wanting to be Australian before. I think that'd be kind of cool. But then if I was Australian, I'd want to be somewhere else because their country was on fire a few months ago.
Yeah.
That wasn't really great.
Next part of the question: Fuck, Marry, Kill Nations Edition. Choose one nation to fuck, one to marry, one to kill. This is the weirdest question I've ever had. Wow.
And it's not even from a list. We just have to think.
I'm struggling for imagination here, dude. I can't imagine any nation that I would want to marry. How can you think of a nation so abstractly like that?
I guess fuck somewhere like America, where they've got a load of good shit, but you can get out of there before you have to deal with the bad shit.
Nah,
but every
I'd say
country
like
is
Sweden,
bad
like
shit.
say Sweden.
Sweden's a
Like
marry
the
though.
Fitbit.
Sweden's a marry because
Is
they're
she? Yeah.
beautiful Scandinavian people, and you can just set up shop there. They don't seem to have
Yeah.
many problems, at least that aren't publicized to my knowledge. Kill. I don't want to kill a whole nation. I mean, I'm sure there's good
Kill England.
people there.
Done and dusted. Killing England.
I don't really
Been
want to
oppressing
do
the Welsh for years. I mean, they get what's coming to them,
but
don't
the
they?
Welsh deserve it. You do things to sheep.
Oh, here we go. The old sheep thing. There we go.
You
Oppress
said kill
us,
England.
humiliate us.
You want
I
to
don't
exterminate
know.
my entire nation, and I haven't done
Deservedly.
anything to
Joel
you.
got what was coming to him, and the English will too. Thank you very much.
Fuck it. Kill Wales. Get rid. Chop them off the
okay.
island and push them out to sea.
Okay, next
Go
up. You are
collide with
tasked
Ireland.
by any nation to create a second Silicon Valley for tech and games innovation. Which country would you install this new Silicon Valley? Wales, because it's closer to me.
Yeah, that here, but just because it's
Yeah.
convenient.
So my connection to Silicon Valley would be fast. And the last part of the question, do you think Americans are generally more creative? Because most games and tech companies and generally come from there. Which nation would you say is the most creative generally, apart from the USA? I don't think the Americans are most creative. I would say they are
They're
most
arguably
capitalist.
the least creative. In some
I would
ways.
say most capitalist, because their business is making products essentially. That's the way I see it. Maybe I'm cynical. Games and tech companies, I think that it's big business, right? But I think creative, I would say, which nation is most creative? I would say like a European nation, something like Italy. You think back to all the painters and the artists and that from Renaissance period, and that Italy was huge.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Like musicians and that, there's a lot in terms of creativity, art and music and that. All right, America didn't get a look in because it didn't exist back in the day. But in terms of historically, I'd say like it had to be a European nation. I'm going to pip for Italy.
I mean, you make a compelling case. I think I'll probably just side with that one. I think
There you go.
That's quite
Let's
a good choice.
move on. We've got two questions left, and thanks for the questions there, Mr. White Wolf. Do you want to take a Rage Andy Kid?
Yeah, Rage Andy Quid. So this is more of what do you think of my idea question. So if consoles were to go fully digital, but someone wanted a physical copy, they could have them made a disc with a code on the inside, maybe on the disc or some sort of fancy business card, so long as they're not lazy with it. Also, this means they could be more creative with box art and made into more of a collectible, similar to Steelbook sorts of thing. Although doing this would be more expensive, therefore cost us more to get if we wanted it. What are your thoughts? Also, how dare Henry take time off to enjoy himself? Keep up the good work, guys. You never fail at making good content. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Be back next week, business as usual. There's been a bunch of stuff happening this week, which I probably will need to cover retrospectively. Yeah, I mean, if the market does go entirely digital, which seems to be the case, I definitely think there will still be some way of keeping physical media alive for collectors, because collectibles is a huge industry. Pretty much all game retailers have now pivoted away from games being their focus to like merch and collectibles and stuff. Games are going to become that same thing. The game stores aren't going to exist, but the game disc box thing itself will be in the same section as the t-shirts, as the action figures, as the Funko Pops and all that sort of stuff. I definitely think it's going to continue to exist. So I think, yeah, if you took away all the disc drives and just stuck a code in a box on a fancy business card, yeah, cool. If you could display it and you could hold on to it and it's something that's worthwhile, as you say, if they're not lazy with it, in a little steel book and you click it open and there's a 12 digit code, I think that could work. I think that could be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks for the question, Rage and the Kid. Next and the last for this week, Mr. White Wolf again, question 2. Have you guys ever played LX or other Piranha Bytes games? LX is way too difficult and they're notorious for that in the industry. What do you think goes on in the minds of the games designers that causes them not to realize that if Alex had reasonable / more normal difficulty options, the game would be so much more popular? What do you think about games that are extremely difficult, even on the easier settings? I hate them. I don't play a game to be punished. I play a game to enjoy it. And Last of Us 2 is a prime example, right? It's got the most, we talked about it earlier, the most expansive difficulty settings that I've ever seen in the game. You got like 5 or 6 different options, and I enjoyed it more by turning the difficulty down. I had fun with the game because it wasn't normal. I'm not egotistical. I beat the game on very, very difficult. Yeah. I'm the best. I don't give a I just want to enjoy my time with the game that I spent 40, 50 quid on. So I don't like the Souls game for that Souls-like games for that reason. So just give me if I'd have had the option to turn Sekiro difficulty down, or make me last 5 shots before dying, I would have played the game to completion and I would have enjoyed it. Oh yeah, artistic vision. I get that. You're allowed to do that and you're allowed to keep the game like that. I'm allowed to hate it for that reason.
100%, that's it. If a dev wants to make a game hard for a specific reason, totally on their right to do it. I'm not going to like it, but therefore I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm also not going to shit all over it. If they want to do that, well, within their rights. I think difficulty options, for the most part, are important. And The Last of Us, whether you like the story or not, it's done incredible stuff in terms of difficulty and accessibility. Two things I really capitalized on there. I tweaked the subtitles because I pretty much always play games with subtitles, and you can add a function to point in the direction where the character is coming from, which is really helpful. I did that from the very beginning. So if like you're exploring, one of your AI partners says, "Oh, let's go this way," I know where they are. I don't have to like search around for ages. I also changed the controls like 3 times. I moved melee to one of the bumpers. I moved listen to that side, and sprint is now on the sticks. Then I could everything works better that way. I should have explained it earlier, but I don't really have time anymore. I think a lot of difficult games aren't difficult because they're supposed to be. They're difficult because they're bad. They're not. Especially old games. I think that's where a lot of it came from. They're hard because they didn't have the time or resources or the awareness to fine-tune it to make it accessible. They're like, all right, we'll stick this here. So long as it is possible to make the jump, that's fine. We'll just move on. I think a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, especially the smaller ones, they're just bad. They're poorly designed and poorly implemented. So it's not even like an artistic choice. It's just they've not done it properly.
We've not played LX, so unfortunately you can't.
Yeah, specifically.
Or any Piranha Bytes games that I know of. I'm having a look here, but I can't see any games that I have. We're talking Risen 3, all the Risen series, Gothic 3, 2, 1, and so on. No, not played any of those, so unfortunately not. But those are our thoughts, and that is the last question. So thanks everybody for all your questions this week, although we did have to rush through them slightly because we're running super long. We're gonna have to move on straight now to the triggered fanboy comment of the week. And as you might know, that we didn't do like a series of news videos this week, therefore we don't have many good candidates for triggered fanboy comment of the week, but we do have one from last week. Last week's podcast. This is ignorant bastard comment of the week. This is what this is, right? So Leon Thomas comments, no mention of The Last of Us 2. What a pair of scared muppets. Bet they give it a 10 out of 10 as well. Pathetic. Totally overlooking the fact that podcast was recorded on Thursday and only released on Sunday because it's early access to the patrons. Patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. Go and check it out. So the patrons got early access. Like the game was out on Friday, we recorded that podcast on Thursday, so we didn't mention Last of Us 2. We spent a whole podcast talking about it now, Leon. So if you have watched, obviously we didn't give it a 10 out of 10 either, because we didn't. We're not scared and we're not pathetic. You're just an ignorant motherfucker.
That's just like, and ignorant is the only way to describe it. It's stupid. Like you're ignorant to our way of doing things, which fair enough. Maybe you didn't know, but I think it's quite common knowledge that it would be impossible to record something on that day. I mean, if we assume we're not recording on the weekend because it's the weekend, we're going to play it for a handful of hours and then record and then this fucking conversation's taken like 2 hours, and then like edit and publish and put together and everything, and then to have enough game time with it anyway, like in what world does that even work? I mean,
and the fact that not only is he ignorant, that he's choosing to attack us and call us
pathetic.
What was it? Pathetic and a pair of scared muppets based on his ignorance. That is doubling down on your idiocy, dude. You're doubling down on your stupidity. You're not only being completely unknowledgeable, but you're being a toxic motherfucker at the same time. Why would you do that? Why would you expose yourself as a double whammy dickhead on a comment or a single comment on YouTube? Why would you do that?
Scared of what though? Like what happens? We say we like it, people get mad. We say we don't like it, people get mad, and I go on with my day. Like I'm still gonna go back and play it some more once this podcast is done. I'm still having fun with it.
Yeah, the gameplay is fun. You just take the story away, and it's
and you know what? If you don't like it, that's all good, baby. Ghost of Tsushima's out in like 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that now.
Cyberpunk's been pushed, which is unfortunate, but it's coming out.
Yeah, I think that the game of the year's up in the air now for me. I'm thinking Last of Us 2 was one of my biggest like holdouts, and I don't think it's going to get there. I don't think it's going to get there. I
think it probably will win.
Oh
not
yeah,
from my vote,
other people's, not
other
for
people
us.
will vote for it because the journos loved it because they like to. They like to
think.
Alana Pierce did a really good video on the 10 out of 10s and what they actually mean, and breaking down specifically IGN's like descriptors for how they review things and that sort of. It's a very, very good video. I recommend you watch it. But she made a good point, which I've believed for a long time, which is some reviewers and journalists write content for themselves and their peers, not their viewers and consumers. They write things to sound intellectual and this, that, and the other, but it's not how the consumer will interpret it. That's why I think Polygon's review was terrible. I agree with a lot of what she said, but it was terrible because it was a bad review. It was good critique, very interesting critique and analysis of the cycle of violence and how ultimately the game's message is pointless and this, that, and the other. It's very, very good from that perspective, but it was a bad review. It belabored its point too much, didn't tell us anything about mechanics or this or anything other than it's about violence and that's bad. So I think that sort of thing is absolutely true. Reviewers should be reviewing it as a product for a consumer, but we've gone on for too long and I'll keep rambling on.
Yeah,
watch that video.
Yeah, sure, yeah. It's very sticky as The Last of Us 2. It's just so fresh. That
place your bets on what our likes and dislikes are going to be at the end of this one.
I mean, who cares, man? We've got opinions. And
it's going to be funny though.
I don't think people have disliked what we've got to say. I equally love it and hate it. I mean, I've said that from the start. Anyway, let's move on to the other, second to last, which is the other comments from this week. There wasn't a lot. I've picked up one. Oh, this was weird, right? I don't know if you remember a commenter, Ian P. He's like an antagonist in our comments. Do you remember?
Yeah. He's the villain who posts mean things, but I don't think he's actually mean.
This is on theme with this podcast this week. I love it, but I hate it. Like good and bad. There's the equal sides. There's the symmetry there, right? He's left 2 comments on last week's podcast, right? He says, "I'm unsubscribing for Henry's moronic hat." I think it's the one who said you had a big nose or something. I'm unsubscribing for Henry's moronic hat. Yeah. So he said that, right? And the very next comment above it says, "Great video, guys. Nice one. Enjoy your break."
I don't get it. I feel like
I don't get this guy, man.
I think he might be one of these people
schizophrenic, isn't he?
Well, maybe, but I think we tease each other, and like I take the piss out of like you being Welsh and me being English, this, that, and the other. But I think some commenters kind of think they're in on that, so think they have the same relationship, even though it's kind of odd reading it because we don't know who this person is. But I mean, it's great for engagement. I'm pretty sure he's been triggered fanboy, or at least comment more than a few times, and well, thanks for being nice this time. That was that's appreciated for sure.
Well, there's one bad comment and then one nice comment, so I thought that was
you're just
subscribing, but enjoy your break. Do you have any comments?
No, I haven't really been looking. I've kind of stayed away from YouTube in general. I haven't really watched a lot. I've been trying to wind down.
The guy over a ways started his lawnmower now, so I don't know if
I
you
need
can
to get
hear
out
that.
of this room. I am so
Yeah, it's getting
hot.
very hot. Let's just tie it up with a bad dad joke and then end the podcast because it's been a scorcher today. Summer is here, and that for the UK is a 2-day period where we get nice weather. What happened to the robber who stole a calendar, Henry?
I don't know. What happened to the robber who stole a calendar?
He got 12 months. And the guy next door is right there now, so I'm going to have to end this podcast.
I think I can hear it, yeah.
The windows are open, that's the problem. Thanks everybody for watching and listening, and I'll end on this noisy note. We'll see you again in the next... support us on Patreon, on YouTube if you want to get early access to this podcast every week. It's worth it, and we really appreciate it. We'll do that. We'll see you again next time. Until then, bye for now.